My name's Dan Corbett. I did my PhD at the School of Pharmacy here at Queen's in Belfast. My thesis title was Functional Hydrogels for Biomedical Applications, and the research question was about how I could use light to cause various chemical reactions to improve how biomedical devices worked. My Viva lasted around an hour and 55 minutes in total, which I think is quite quick for a Viva in general, but it felt like the longest hour and 55 minutes of my life. My Viva experience was a lot more relaxed than I initially thought it was going to be. My external examiner started with questions, starting from the beginning of the thesis. But all the time the questions were very informal. It was more of a conversation rather than a question and answer job interview style session. So those questions then went on from various parts of the thesis for about an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes or so. And then I was asked to step outside while the panel made their decision. So went outside with my supervisor, who had asked to come into the Viva with me, and we did a bit of a quick autopsy of the Viva whenever we were outside. Was feeling very unsure at that time whether I was going to have been successful or not, just because I had my own doubts about everything. But was called in after a couple of minutes, and everyone was standing up and people were shaking hands and saying congratulations. I think my best moment during it was the very, very start. So I had guessed the first question, which was to cover the whole thesis and kind of condense it down into a couple of sentences. I basically spent a couple of minutes summarising the whole thesis, and at that point that helped with my confidence for the rest of the Viva as well. The worst moment in the Viva probably happened about halfway through. My external examiner wanted to understand the extent of the knowledge that I had with regards to the chemistry that I used. So he took a reaction that I used extensively through my work to make a particular compound and asked me to apply that mechanism to something else. That was about a 15 or 20 minute struggle of me drawing out lots and lots of reaction mechanisms. The positive thing about that was that my external examiner wasn't there to catch me out. He was there to make sure that I understood the chemistry. So he helped me at each step of the way. So if I did get something wrong, he would explain why. He would help me work through the problem, and ultimately we worked through the problem together. My external examiner asked me some very straightforward questions about the use of the technology and the use of the biomaterials that I had created during the research work, which I wasn't really expecting. I was expecting him to ask me very sophisticated questions about the chemistry, about the characterization techniques that I had used, but wasn't expecting okay, what's the benefit to the patient? Can a patient expect to get better very quickly? What happens if the patient gets sick during the middle of this treatment? The way I handled it was to explain to my external examiner the same way I would explain something to a patient. So I really simplified it down and used that to justify the reasons that I had done certain things. I think if I could have done anything, it would have been take a bit more time before the Viva and spend a little less time with my head within the thesis, looking at all of the different work that I'd done. So top tips for the Viva, I think the first thing, which a lot of people would forget about, would be knowing where the examination room is going to be. I was very lucky in that my examination room was in the School of Pharmacy, so I knew exactly where the room was and to be waiting outside it at the time that my Viva was about to start. Another top tip as well that is something that really helped me with my Viva was to research my external examiner. That'll mean that you'll know the sort of questions that they may ask about. You can also work out where they might not know so much when it comes to the science as well. So you can prepare answers for them because they may ask you things in a very simple way, which can take you from left field sometimes if you're not expecting them. So it's good because you can work out what they're going to ask you, but you might also be able to work out some questions that might take you by surprise.